time is calculated by man, but which seems like only yesterday in the calendar of heaven, there was, in paradise, a most miserable and thoroughly unhappy cherub who was known throughout heaven as the littlest angel. She was exactly 4 years, 6 months, 5 days, 7 hours, and 42 minutes old when she presented herself to the gatekeeper and waited to be admitted into the kingdom of heaven. The littlest angel tried to pretend that she wasn't all that impressed by the splendor of heaven, and that she also wasn't at all sad or afraid. But her lower lip trembled, and tears ran down her face to the tip of her nose as she thought about the earthly world she left behind. To make matters worse, while the kindly gatekeeper was writing the name in his great book, the littlest angel tried to hide her crying by sniffling, a most unangelic sound which so surprised the gatekeeper that he did something that he had never done before in all of eternity. He blotted the page. From that moment on, the heavenly peace was never quite the same. The littlest angel soon upset all of the heavenly host. Her shrill, ear-splitting whistle sounded out all hours throughout the golden streets. It startled the prophets and disturbed their meditations. She would always arrive late and would knock everyone's wings crooked as she darted into place. And on top of that, she sang off-key at the singing practice of the heavenly choir, spoiling the whole song. Her appearance was even more upsetting. It was said among the seraphim and cherubim, and then said aloud among the angels and archangels, that she didn't even look like an angel at all. And they were all quite correct. She didn't. Her halo was permanently tarnished, where she held on to it with one hand when she ran. And she was always running. Furthermore, even when she stood very still, it never behaved as a halo should. It was always slipping down over her right eye, or her left eye, or else slipping off the back of her head and rolling away down some golden street, and she would have to chase after it. All of paradise held its breath when the littlest angel perched herself like a sparrow on the very edge of a gilded cloud and prepared to take off. She would lean this way and that, and after a few false starts, she would shut her eyes, hold her nose, count up to 303, and then hurl herself into space. However, since she always forgot to move her wings, the littlest angel always fell head over halo. Now, anyone can easily understand why the littlest angel would, sooner or later, have to be disciplined. And so, one day, she was told to see the angel of peace for counseling. Go. The littlest angel combed her hair, dusted her wings, and made sure her clothes were clean. Then she trudged her way to the place of judgment. She tried to postpone the dreaded ordeal by loitering along the street of the guardian angels, pausing here and there to peek at new arrivals. She slowly approached the doorway of the place where heavenly justice was given out, and to her surprise, she heard a merry voice inside, singing and laughing. Fa la 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 la. The littlest angel removed her halo and polished it. Then tiptoed inside. The singer, who was known as the understanding angel, looked down at the small culprit, and the littlest angel tried to make herself invisible by tucking her head inside the collar of her robe. The singer laughed and said,
So you are the one who's been making heaven so unheavenly. Come here, cherub, and tell me about it.
The littlest angel began explaining how very difficult it was for a little girl who suddenly finds herself transformed into an angel, and how she had to find ways to make herself happy. That was the whole problem. There wasn't anything for a small angel to do, and she was very homesick. Not that paradise wasn't beautiful, but the earth was beautiful too. Wasn't it created by God himself? There were trees to climb, brooks to fish in, caves to spy into, the swimming hole, and sun, and rain, and dark, and dawn. The understanding angel smiled and asked the little angel what would make her most happy in paradise. The cherub thought for a moment, and then whispered, "There's a box. I left it under my bed back home. If only I could have that." The understanding angel nodded. "You shall have it," the angel replied, and a fleet-winged heavenly messenger was instantly sent to bring the box to paradise. And then, in all the days that followed, everyone wondered at the great change in the littlest angel. For among all the cherubs in God's kingdom, she was the most happy. Her behavior improved, and so did her appearance. Then it came to pass that Jesus, the Son of God, was to be born to Mary in Bethlehem, in Judah. And as the glorious tidings spread throughout paradise, all the angels rejoiced, and their voices were lifted to herald the miracle of miracles, the coming of the Christ child. The angels and archangels, the seraphim and cherubim, the gatekeeper and all of heaven put aside their usual tasks to prepare their gifts for the blessed infant. All but the littlest angel. She sat down on the topmost step of the golden stairs and waited for inspiration as a gift to give. What could she give that would be most acceptable to the Son of God? At one time, she dreamed of composing a special hymn, but she was lacking in musical talent. Then she thought about writing a prayer. A prayer would live forever in the hearts of men because it would be the first prayer ever heard by the Christ child. But she was lacking in writing skills. What could a small angel give that would please the holy infant? The time of miracle was now close at hand when the littlest angel decided on a gift. On that day of days, she proudly brought it from its hiding place behind a cloud and humbly placed it before the throne of God. It was a small, rough, unsightly box, but inside were all those wonderful things that even a child of God would treasure. A small box, lying among all those glorious gifts from all the angels of paradise. And when the littlest angel saw this, she suddenly worried that her gift to God's child was not enough, and she wished that she could take back the shabby gift. It was ugly and it was worthless. If only she could hide it away from the sight of God before it was even noticed. But it was too late. The hand of God moved slowly over all the brightly covered shining gifts, then paused, then dropped, then came to rest on the lowly gift of the littlest angel. The littlest angel trembled as the box was opened, and there, before the eyes of God and all the heavenly host, was what she offered to the Christ child. And what was her gift to the blessed infant? Well, there was a butterfly with golden wings, captured one bright summer day on the hills above Jerusalem, and a sky blue egg from a bird's nest in the olive tree that shaded her mother's kitchen door, and 2 white stones found on a muddy riverbank where she and her friends had played, and a limp, tooth-marked leather strap once worn as a collar by her dog. The littlest angel cried, for now she knew that instead of honoring the Son of God, she had given useless gifts. Why had she ever thought that the box was so wonderful? Why had she dreamed that such useless things would be loved by the blessed infant? She turned to run and hide, but she stumbled and fell. There was an anonymous and dreadful silence in the celestial city, a silence undisturbed except for the crying of the littlest angel. Then suddenly, the voice of God rose and swelled throughout paradise, saying,
Of all